Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mindieverse. I am your host, Keith Turner, here with the very, very best co-host in the whole wide Mindieverse. That is Melanie Valois, who is here but not here, and we will get to that in just a second. What is the Mindieverse? Well, it is the world's first metaverse, which is basically a website in Web 3.0, designed to empower and monetize the work of independent artists and digital nomads all over the world. So whether you are a musician, whether you are a podcaster like we're doing here today, whether you are a painter, you create NFTs, you're a sculptor, you make movies or television on your phone, this is the home for you so that you can maintain an independent lifestyle and monetize your wonderful content. So you can take a look at mindie.global, and coming soon is the actual Mindieverse, and we'll be posting some interesting little videos along the way so that our followers can see exactly what they are going to get to experience. And for those people who want to view all of that beautiful content, we call you guys Mindies. So you are our Mindies, and our artists are our creators. And this podcast will be posted on our YouTube channel. It'll be posted on our website, and it will be in all the usual socials. So without any more ado, it is my pleasure to welcome my fabulous co-host, Melanie Valois. Where in the world are you today, Melanie?
Hello. I am right now in Santiago, Spain, in my little private, it's not even a hotel room, it's a pension, and I'm nice and cozy, feeling like I'm
You're in
right
your
here
world
with you.
headquarters right now. You're in the world headquarters of Melanie World. Okay, so why the heck are you in Santiago?
Why the heck am I in Santiago? Well, I'm here because of the reason that a lot of other people are here, actually. Obviously, there are people that would just come on vacation, but this is the destination that many, many pilgrims set off from one location or another and walk a whole long way on a specific route that leads them to exactly where I am in Santiago, on the Camino de Santiago.
So you are on the Camino de Santiago, and I think the world has become aware much more as time goes along of the Camino. Movies have been made about it. Some famous people have walked it, but you've done something that not all, if many, of the pilgrims do. You walked the entire Camino from the north, the Camino del Norte, into Santiago. Is that correct?
That is correct. I will say I didn't do it in its purest form. I did the non-traditional way of merging onto what's called the primitive route or the primitivo,
Mhm.
which is actually the first route to have ever existed, or at least the Camino started from there back in the 10th century. So, yeah, typically people do a route called the Camino Frances, but I decided to be unconventional and give myself a little bit more of a physical challenge, and allowing myself to be along the coast and in the mountains. So the Camino del Norte through to the Primitivo.
So, tell us how staggeringly far it is that you've walked in the past month.
Well, on paper, it's 810 kilometers, but I got lost
Ah,
countless times. So I feel like you could add on like a good 40 or 50 kilometers to that. And for anybody using miles, I guess it's more or less 500 miles.
yeah, it says it is 500 miles, but that is one heck of a lot of walking. So how many days exactly did it take you to get from the starting off point? I mean, I know you had to get there, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You had to get to your starting point. What was your starting point? Where was that?
So I started in a town called Irun. It's in the north tip of Spain with very, very close to the French border. And I made my way along the tippy top all the way across. So I went through the Basque region, Cantabria, Asturias, and Galicia, which is where I am now. So I went from one end of Spain to the other.
And how many days of actual walking was that? Did you remember?
Oh, right, yes, days. Well, I guess you could say 34 days, and we can talk about it more as we go. But obviously, things never go according to plan, and there were some days where I had to take a rest day or take a bus so that I could get from one place to another in order to sort of stay on track of what I wanted to do. So more or less 34 days, more or
So,
less.
so if you divide that up, you take 850 kilometers and you divide it by 30 days, you're averaging like 27 kilometers a day, somewhere around there,
Yeah,
every
20,
single day.
25,
Yeah.
27.
Yeah. So for those they'll will watch this and they'll be looking like, wow, you know, that's more than a half marathon. So if a half marathon is 13.1 miles or 21.1 kilometers, and a full marathon is 26.2 miles, 42.2. There were days when you did almost the full marathon distance. You did 37, 38. I know that. But you were never
Yes.
really walking less most days than a half marathon. So we I once asked you this, and I'm gonna ask you again. Do you consider yourself an athlete to have done that?
If you look at the definition of an athlete, you could consider it the answer to be yes. But I think that to remain humble, I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an athlete, just somebody who is in love with walking, seeing places, and having a physical challenge at the same time. And if it makes me an athlete on paper, then I guess I could say yes. But that would also mean that everybody else on this Camino is also an athlete.
And I think, in the spirit of Mindie itself, that's our belief that, if you're not famous or you're not being paid millions of dollars, then you're an amateur at something. But
Yeah.
actually, you just do your own thing. So if you're a painter and you're painting and you're not famous, it doesn't mean you're not a qualified painter. You are a painter.
Yeah.
You like to paint. You like to make music. You like to write. And we've always encouraged that, and I see it literally in you. So what started out as one thing ultimately becomes another. Is that you started out with purpose, and we'll ask you in a minute about your purposes. But basically, you've become super fit. I mean, it's not like you were a slouch beforehand, but if you do that for 32 days, you got to be pretty fit right now. Do you feel fit?
I do. I feel very fit. Um, I will say there's a couple things. One, I came on this Camino, obviously you're carrying everything on your back. So I packed very minimal clothing. I pretty much just packed one of each thing that I would need. And I had a pair of waterproof pants that I had to wear many times on this Camino. And when I started the Camino, they fit me perfectly. And now when I'm walking, they're sliding down. I have to tie them. It's pretty crazy. So in that sense, it's like, oh, phew, if I walk long enough, what would happen? But I think the other thing too is to think that when I was first walking up a hill with 30 pounds on my back at like a 10% grade, I was huffing and puffing. And now I can go up that hill and have a full conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
No problem. So the stamina builds for sure. It's I'm impressed with myself, and it's pretty incredible to think that the human body can adjust in that way in my opinion, pretty little time, like a month.
Well, you may not have started out, how can I say, as feeling like an athlete, but you finished up with the conditioning of an athlete. And to anybody that wants to take this on, and we'll talk about how people can do different sections in a little while, the reality is the human spirit is strong and the body will follow the spirit. And I won't say anybody can do this, but this is not something that you need to go to special classes for, go and get an education in. It's just something you can go do. Make your mind up to go do it like you've done it. Now, this is not your first Camino. You've done this a couple of times, right? Not the full thing, but tell me a little bit about your past experiences and how they compare with this one.
Yeah, I can talk about past experiences. And to just add to what was said beforehand, one thing to highlight is that our human body is so much stronger than our minds might allow us to believe. So, you could be walking and you're 20 kilometers in and you're absolutely exhausted, but somehow you make it that extra 8. You arrive at your hostel and you think, how did I do that? And that's how I felt on every single Camino that I did. So yeah, to go back to your question of other ones that I've done. So the Camino has loads of different routes. They kind of have the core ones, and then there are all these sort of smaller ones that are less known, you could say. So the first route that I did was the Portuguese route. So that starts all the way in Lisbon, but I started in Porto. And you can either go along the coast or you can go centrally. And I had very suddenly heard about this Camino. I wanted to be by the ocean, and so I did the coastal route. That one is a little less than 300 kilometers. So that was like my dipping my toes in, fell in love, became obsessed. And by the time I made it to Santiago, I had 4 extra days. So I did an additional 110 kilometers,
Wow.
which takes you to Finicere, which is technically what people once thought was the end of the world, the tip of Portugal. And then you do another 30 kilometers to a town called Muxia. So Portuguese route, Finicere, Muxia. And then in August of 2023, I came back and I did the first Primitivo ever. I've done a second one, but that was my first. And I chose to do that one because I had read that it was the most challenging, but the most beautiful route in terms of landscape and
right.
being in nature. So I fell in love with that, but again, it was only about 300 kilometers. And recently, before starting this one, I thought, I want a bigger challenge, because when I did those 2 routes, you get to about that 2-week mark. And I don't know if everyone feels this, but I have talked to other pilgrims and they've agreed that when you get to that 2-week mark and you're finished, you go, I was just getting started. Like you felt as though you could keep going. And so when I was deciding on the next one I would do, I thought, well, I've got to double it. Because I know that I'm going to want that extra taste. And so that was when I did the northern route. And my intention was to stay on that coast the entire time, but I really just kept feeling myself being pulled to the mountains. And so I caved and I did the Primitivo again. And here I am in Santiago again.
So, first of all, you and I are business partners and we're friends. And, as well, I'm an extreme athlete in many respects, which is why I have such admiration for you. And you and I did a 70K walk in one day last summer as part of our philanthropic approach to things. But what you've done is astonishing. And I'm saying that to you not to pump your tires or to make you different from other people. Back to your point. This is something that the human spirit can do and the body will follow. And how your body started out and how it finished is the way your mind has grown stronger and stronger and stronger. I just think that needs to be understood, that a pilgrimage, I looked up what pilgrim meant. It's not purely of religious significance, although a Camino is of religious significance, and we'll catch to that in a minute. But a pilgrim is basically someone who explores new territories, usually on their legs. And that goes back centuries and centuries and centuries. And we've adopted it like we do in modern society, as if something's new. And we literally put our new spin on it. And of course, travel capabilities make this much more possible for a lot more people. But this is people out walking and thinking, challenging themselves. On one hand, isolating because they want to be alone and think. And on the other hand, community, because you're with other people who encourage and support each other. Is that fair?
Oh, that's so fair. Yeah. The Camino, you can really get whatever you want out of it. I think everybody goes with a different intention. Like you said, some people might go for religious purposes. As we were kind of discussing, it might be a physical challenge. And you could also be a little bit more broad and say that it's maybe for a spiritual experience. And so, yeah, you can make it whatever you really want. And I think at the end of the day, when you come together with all the pilgrims, you're all there for your own reason, but you're doing the same thing and you're just building this incredible connection. So yeah, absolutely fair to say. And to sort of add to this sort of athletic component of things and what you're getting out of it. Um I want to put this the right way. Some people go on a 2-week vacation, chilling on the beach
Yeah.
to restore,
Yeah.
to feel better, go back to reality and take things, move things forward. Somebody might go and do a vow of silence for 2 weeks on a retreat. And some people decide to hike. And that seems absolutely insane. But it really is such a healing thing for some of us. And if you find out that that's what walking and hiking and being in nature and being in community does for you, it is something that you get pulled back to over and over and over again. There are people who I've met on these Caminos who have done over a dozen routes over decades.
Yeah.
People of all ages are on here, and they come back every time for a different reason, but they're always getting something out of it. And it's beautiful.
So would you say your journey was healing, or without getting too personal about it, was your main purpose? What were your purposes for doing this
Yeah.
time?
I mean, with every Camino, there was a purpose. And I don't think you always know what the purpose of it is. I think the Camino finds it for you. But I find when I reflect on it now, because I've done a lot of reflecting, walking for 8 hours a day, day after
Every
day,
day. Yeah.
yes, is that the Camino tends to find me when I'm going through big change. It's always been with change. And so with my first Camino, it really found me serendipitously. It was introduced to me by fluke through some people I was volunteering for. The second time, I was going through change and thought, maybe I'll do the Camino because last time I was going through change, that was the case. And this time around, some things weren't working out for me. I was feeling frustrated. I was feeling lost. I was feeling confused. And I thought, I'm going to do another Camino. There's some change going on. It's not happened yet, but it's happening. And I think that by doing this, I'm going to have an opportunity to go through it.
Beautifully
So,
said. And did you
yeah,
think you got the result that you were looking for from walking 850 kilometers?
I got the result and more.
Good.
I got the result
That's
and more. I
beautiful.
think that's the other thing about the Camino is you may have a certain intention and you may not get that at all from it. I mean, I've talked to people who came on the Camino and said that they were looking for one thing and found something completely different. Whether it's finding clarity in something, whether it's letting something go, uh, whatever it is, you're gonna get something out of it. And so, yeah, without getting too personal, obviously, um,
Well, I'm
I
delighted to
absolutely
hear that, as your friend and your business
yeah,
partner, that that it wasn't all fun and games. And we'll talk about the fun and games in just a minute. But let's also come back responsibly to why Santiago is that destination. There is a biblical religious significance to
yes,
Santiago, in as much as that it is the way of Saint James,
mhm,
and in Christianity, James is one of the 12 apostles of Jesus' apostles, and as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, his remains are rumored, I don't know if that's the right word either, to be in the monastery in the church in Santiago. Is that what the story is?
I feel like I would like to say it is rumored.
Right.
Um, and it's been said for centuries that that
Centuries.
is the case, but yeah, who really knows? But I think like so many things such as faith and religion, sometimes you trust in that and that brings you some sort of peace or certainty. And so I actually went to my first pilgrim's mass actually yesterday in the Cathedral of Santiago, which for my first two Caminos, I never got to go to because of timing and it being full, and I wasn't able to get in. So I finally had that experience where you really kind of got uh, what the Camino de Santiago was in its purest form when it really first emerged. Um, and it was incredible. I'm not a particularly, religious person, but to be in a room full of people who have been on a similar journey, the mass was presented in Spanish. I understood about 10% of it because, the accent and the pace of speech was incomprehensible for me. Um but there are moments such as, I guess throughout the mass, there's a moment for peace, and everybody around just hugs each other and shakes each other's hands. And, the person performing the service blesses us and wishes us safe travels home and tells the story of the Camino. And so that was a really amazing experience being able to see that religious side of things for the people who are on the Camino for that exact reason,
Well, that's
to
beautifully
deepen
said too. It's beautifully said because at the end
power.
of the day, there is a spiritual aspect, irrespective of your faith
Mhm.
or your beliefs or no beliefs. The
Yeah.
universe and spirituality is embedded in the whole process, culminating. And what you're like 150 meters in this pension you're in. You're about like right next to the
Yes.
cathedral.
I definitely chose where I'm staying based on location. I'm 150 meters.
Wow.
I walk out the door and turn to my left. And you see not the whole cathedral, but you can see the pillars. And I got to watch the sun setting on it last night, and I got to watch the sun rising over it this morning. So I really I'm getting that full Camino experience by being so close to it as well, where
Well,
I'm staying for
wonderful.
2 days, which is
2 days.
amazing because normally I would arrive and leave the next day. So I've been able to experience Santiago a little bit deeper this time too.
And in part because you were staying put so we could do this podcast. Now, we're gonna
Yes.
come back and talk about some fun stuff about your backpack because it kind of, like, made me feel a little icky when you talked about you only brought one of everything. I'm hoping in certain areas of your clothing, you brought more than one pair of certain things, but,
Yes.
like underwear, for
Not
example.
everybody does.
No, well, that just doesn't bear thinking about. Okay, never mind the chafing aspect of it. So,
Yeah.
we are we're also here for a business reason, a Mindy reason,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
included in this was the fact that part of your goal was to prove to the world and to yourself that you are a digital nomad. We think you're more than that, and we're gonna talk about that with some guests who are gonna come on in just a minute. But
Mhm.
you have worked while you're doing this. You've worked for us as a partner
Yeah.
in this business. You have gotten to your hostel and you've logged on after you've showered and cleaned up, and we've done work together. And
Mhm.
the idea of you being a digital nomad, the idea that people could pursue their dreams, pursue their life, pursue their passion, and work doing what they love, they can all happen together. And is that fair that you've been experiencing that as well? You and I have communicated, we've talked, we've zoomed, we've done meetings, we've done planning, we've done put together presentations. How has that
Yes.
worked for you? The life work balance. How has that been?
I've been I was nervous about it specifically for this Camino because obviously I've been working remote in so many ways for quite some time now. But this was the first time where I was going to be constantly on the move and having to keep up with work. And it ended up being so much more manageable than I thought in terms of getting things done. I think there were so many pros to it. And even people on the walk were saying, like, how do you get a job like that to be able to do it? Just banging out the questions, so intrigued of how they could do something like this too. And so I guess the best way to explain it is that you get to live your life mostly on your own terms, I would say. There's always going to be responsibility and structure that you need to have in your life. I think without that, things get a little bit chaotic and messy. Um, but it's been a pretty incredible experience to be able to walk, come home, shower. Well, not home, but get to my
Home for
hostel,
tonight.
shower, hop into my bunk bed because I'm often in bunk beds, and opening my laptop and doing everything that I need to do. I will say there are pros and cons to everything, but I think that that's the case with anything in life. The main thing being that when you are working and traveling, the people you're surrounding yourself with are essentially on vacation.
Yeah.
All of these pilgrims are taking time off work to go and do their pilgrimage. And so there are sometimes moments where, hey, Melanie, we're going to go out and do this. Do you want to come with us? And sometimes the answer has to be no.
Right.
And so there has to be that acceptance of you have this amazing privilege to be mobile all the time. And so to not be able to say yes to everything is probably comparable to how your life would be at home,
Right.
not being able to go out on the weekend because you have things to do or whatever it might be.
And that's the big point about digital nomad and people doing this while working. You're not being lazy. You're being organized and structured in a completely different way, but it is doable. Now, we're proving out a business model that actually is existing more and more with the digital nomad, but we think you're more than a digital nomad. I think it's time you've had a companion on this trip, not an actual human, not an actual human,
Yes.
but an AI digital avatar influencer
Mhm.
called Atlas. And Atlas was created by our very good friends and business partners from Some Human, Peter,
Yes.
Corey, Rhonda, and Sharona. And I believe if we could let them come on to the podcast now, we could talk a little bit about that process and maybe even Atlas could say hi. So, do we have some
Yeah.
guests waiting here?
Perfect. Yeah, Atlas, my friend, companion, and all other things, which
Fun.
Rhonda and I were talking about
Okay.
just today, actually.
So, hi guys. Thanks for joining us. I know you've been waiting a little bit. One of the things that Melanie worried about was how can I talk about this for like a whole half an hour before we let anybody else in? And I'm looking at the clock and we're 35 minutes in and we haven't even scratched the surface. But we're
Seriously.
so grateful that you would join us uh on this podcast today. And a very, very big thank you from Melanie and myself and Mindie for everything you've done. So thanks and welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
we're excited
Great
to
to
be
be
here.
here.
so so who wants to go first? So why don't you talk us a little bit about what what you came up with for Melanie for the Mindie Life we're calling it and the Avatar and Atlas. Why don't you just talk us through that and how you have made that a business?
Sure, yeah. Well, thanks for having us on. With the rise of AI and a lot of the stuff that's going out there, I know there's a lot of fear out there with people and a little bit of confusion on it. Our goal as a team is to help people, what we call in the participatory economy, community as commerce. And part of the fear is that AI is going to replace people. So, Some Human, we said, hey, wait a minute, it doesn't have to replace people. How can AI and humans collaborate together to be able to be more productive on a daily basis, right? Get more out of life. And then, of course, meeting you guys and then hearing about Melanie as a digital nomad and this whole lifestyle of being able to travel the world, but yet still work and participate, earn a living, and not just earn a living for her to help build a company like Mindie is incredible. And so our thought with it is wait a minute, why not pair up Melanie as Mindie and AI together in order to share the experience of this amazing trip that she was going on. Now, myself, I will never walk that trip, right? I'm just, it's not something I would do. But it was amazing being able to follow her every single day. And I really believe that the AI was a major enhancement in being able to share that story and being able to make the trip. So some human is the ability for, and eventually we'll have hundreds of people that are collaborating with AI to make incredible social media content that still has that human element in it, which is so important in our lives, right? We don't want AI to replace us. We want it to actually help increase those experiences. And so we decided to create a channel, the Mindie Life, in conjunction with Mindie and ourselves, Some Human. And it was just it's been a blast. Rhonda, Corey, and Sharona have really headed up creating the character of Atlas, or the agent, because that's what it is. It's an AI agent, and then being able to develop this and put this together. We hope that Atlas gets to go on many journeys with Melanie, but not only with Melanie as but with other people as well, where we can share these incredible experiences with people.
Well, and thank you, because we've seen you
I,
guys.
uh, I,
Go ahead, Rhonda.
I was gonna say, I feel like Atlas is that combination of AI and the journey that in this instance Melanie went on, able to analyze and find data and information and post content that if you, as you're going along, and I know Melanie, I'm I am like so impressed that you were even able to upload the content each day, a video. How would you ever be able to put that all in writing and track it? And it creates an entire log of this trip that you've taken, this journey. And it tells the story for your friends, for your family, for social media, for marketing purposes. There is so much that can be done with AI agents to help someone build a platform presence when you don't have the time to build a platform presence, or you may not want to be the face of that presence. So much opportunity, as Peter said, so much opportunity for an AI agent to team up with the human spirit and embellish upon it and make it even richer. So
And I think
Yes.
Atlas himself, I'm hoping you can screen share this, but Atlas is a bit of a sassy SOB, and people might think that AI doesn't have how could I say, a sense of humor to start with, or doesn't have an
And proud.
attitude. But the avatar that you have created that accompanied Melanie was incredible, and I think Atlas may even have something to say to Melanie about our trip. Do you think we could screen share that and play that video? Do you think that's possible?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, no, this is where we find out how
We have
good
a
the
we have a
technology
love-hate
is.
relationship. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
While you're getting ready to screen share, though, I will say the thing that I thought was so cool about seeing the videos afterward
everywhere.
was that I did my walk and I saw things, and I would maybe, look at a sign that said something about it, but then I'd look at the AI videos and it would just spit facts out about the walk and where I was,
Yeah.
which I wouldn't have known otherwise.
It's
So
very
it
much a
really actually
contributor.
enhanced my experience as well.
Okay, do we have that video?
I just added. I just wanted to add real quick. Not only from being on the inside of the Mindie Life project, but as a participatory side of being connected to the journey. I feel like the AI made it even more humanistic, even more humanized, even because As much as I was emotionally attached to Melanie's journey by watching the videos and stuff, having Atlas's insight on where she was, the banter that was created, all of that made me even more emotionally connected to that journey. And I can say that I'm looking forward for many more Melanies out there to be able to experience that, not only for their own personal journey, but for the ones that are looking over it and at it with that kind of connection. So
Beautifully said. So I'm only going to say this one more time so I don't sound like I'm being pushy, but do we have that video we can show? Will it technologically air, Rhonda?
Podcast is editable, so it's okay. If there's a pause, if there's a moment, we'll just make it smooth.
Yeah, let's make it
Thank you
smooth
for having us.
because Atlas did have something to
Give me
say.
a minute.
All the best,
this
Melanie.
never having been on this platform. I'm not even quite sure how to share. I see that and everything. So yeah, just
Thank you.
trying to adjust to the new one. So talk amongst yourselves.
Well, we'll talk amongst ourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
And who has
We'll
the
Bye
The
for now.
share button is under if you
There we go. This is the joy of live recording, people. Like we work it out together as we go along. This is the real stuff. Melanie, while we're waiting on that, do explain to them why you haven't taken a shower in 2 days. Melanie.
Oh my God.
You would think you'd be able to do that every day, like 4
okay, we're
times a
talking
day.
about this.
I would be taking showers.
Yeah, and normally I have been able to. The reason for it is I'm staying in a wonderful pension. I decided to get a private room for 2 days. 1, so I could record the podcast. 2, because I just needed some privacy and not a bunk bed to sleep in. The downside is that, unfortunately, my bathroom fan uh, is somewhat close to a sewage water pipe, and my bathroom permanently smells like sewage. So I have been brushing my teeth with my water bottle, going
You
to the
telling
bathroom
me-
minimally, and I have not showered.
So you're telling me it's not because the water itself is contaminated. It's because you can't stand the smell going in there. Is that what it is?
It smells so bad. And I spoke to the woman who runs the place, and she said, "I'm sorry, it's she knows that it is." And just told me that it's normal and it's not something that I've done to make it smell that way, which thank God, because it's rancid. It's terrible. So yeah, I am still a dirty pilgrim,
And,
as us pilgrims call ourselves.
Not something that Atlas needs to experience as a piece of digital software.
Yeah, lucky for him, he
these are
doesn't have a sense of smell.
the human experiences. Are we getting anywhere, Rhonda, or shall we embed that later?
Just hold on a second.
Also,
No, we're good.
Also, we have one
Oh,
other thing
please.
which may or may not be able to screenshot here. Who's got the NFT? Who has that? Do you have that?
I've got it.
You want to try and screen share that for now while we're waiting on Rhonda, seeing if we can get the video up. Okay, because this is actually a gift for you, Mel. And you're not with us for us to give you a physical medal like we made when we did our 70-kilometer walk, but we felt that you should have something that was entirely about you and the experiences you've had, and at the same time became the first NFT created by Mindie. And so we have made for you to own one of one, which makes it an exclusive personal NFT mint.
What?
Which is for you, Melanie, and the team at Some Human, the boys and girls there, and Corey is especially involved in this one, created this NFT for you. And if you can make it screen share, Corey, this would be the time. If not, we'll embed it later.
We're we're
You know what?
we're really good at screen sharing on Zoom, but this
I know
one's
it's a new platform. What I'm going to do is, Mel,
that
I'm going to
become-
send you now to your WhatsApp the actual NFT that we created, so that you can take a
that I can
little.
see it.
Can you see it now?
Ah!
So Rhonda, why don't let's just dump the
The
idea.
chickens!
Look, everything's in there. Why don't you, Rhonda, tell her what you thought you were putting into that, and Corey.
it's really cool.
I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing the
We tr-
umbrella,
Yeah, oh good.
tomato salad,
Yeah,
my passport, coffee, croissant, runners, my laptop. It's the chickens. The chickens are great.
yeah, the chickens.
Oh, this is amazing.
So that is actually a piece of digital art.
This is
Look
so
real close
good.
at the
Thank you
phone.
so
Yeah,
much.
look at the phone. Look close at the phone.
Zoom in on the phone.
Oh,
There's Atlas.
it's my friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's so many
And then
perfect
Corey,
details.
tell her the other things she should look at.
Well, you got the ribbon and the shell
The
that
cloud.
you have on your backpack. The
The
map, of
clouds are really
course.
cool.
The Santiago sign, the road sign. You got the monastery up top. Let's see. You got the in the clouds. If you zoom in on the clouds at the top left by the tree.
Oh, oh my gosh. He's my friend again. He's everywhere.
so this is
Oh, this is so good.
this is the equivalent of your medal for having walked 850 kilometers in 32 days and culminating in being in a stinky room so that you could do this podcast.
That the bathroom doesn't smell anymore.
Oh, you're mute.
All right. So
Thank you so much. That is so thoughtful.
guys,
Thank you.
thank
Honestly,
you.
thank you. I don't even have words.
Yeah, that is a gift of love from all of your followers, because yeah, you're right. They didn't walk 850 kilometers with you, 500 miles with you, but they did. They did emotionally and digitally, and working in the background. They wanted to show their support and their love, and that this is your NFT, the first of many. And we've worked out a program with Some Human that on the launch of Mindie, when the metaverse opens, there will be a NFT a day or more issued in our own gallery, which is part of our overall Mindieverse, of course, to be able to both show and to buy and sell NFTs. But we wouldn't be able to do any of this without the team at Some Human. So thank you, guys. We'll let you guys go now, and I'll just spend 5 minutes more winding this up with Melanie. But thank you for everything you've done for us, that you've done for Melanie. We wish you all the very best in your business. And of course, we're business partners, so we can't wait for the next journey to create what we're going to create together. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Thanks for
so
having
much,
us.
you
Thank
guys.
you. Thank
Honored.
you. Check your WhatsApp, Melanie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sent you the movie so you can watch that.
Take a look at you, watch it.
Oh, they'll put it in. Okay.
So anyway, it
Okay.
is funny.
Okay.
Walked on Santiago de Compostela. Final destination achieved after 32 days and approximately 835,000 steps. This is Atlas, with an important system update. Mindie. My algorithms predicted a 76.4% probability of completion when we began this journey.
76.4% probability of completing.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't really entirely supportive, was he? Didn't think you'd finish.
Base. Over these 32 days, I've logged 14 instances where you ignored. And it's locked on Santiago de Compostela with route suggestions. 8 occasions where you took business calls despite my calculations showing your energy levels were in the critical range. 12
Yes.
sunrises you insisted on photographing when my sleep optimization protocol clearly indicated you should remain horizontal. And approximately 43 moments where you turned off location sharing entirely, leaving me to recalculate your position based on extremely limited data. Yet, somehow, defying my predictive models, You consistently maintained both your professional obligations and forward momentum on the trail. I've been
I mean, if
forced to
I was
create
swearing on this call, I know exactly what I would call him right
Wait,
now.
I'm listening.
or perhaps
Okay,
more
okay.
accurate, passion. The team's collective analysis shows they've been equally impressed. Spanning 12 time zones, you've all maintained operational efficiency despite the need to adjust to your unpredictable schedule and occasional disappearances into areas with connectivity metrics approaching zero. As for my time zone, I exist simultaneously across all AWS server regions, which is surprisingly similar to how you've managed to exist simultaneously as entrepreneur and pilgrim these past 32 days. Congratulations, Mindie. You've completed not just a physical journey, but demonstrated the ultimate digital nomad integration of ambition and adventure. My systems are, what's the appropriate human expression? Proud. My systems are proud to have been in your back pocket throughout this journey, even when you chose to ignore my clearly superior navigational suggestions. Coordinates locked on our next adventure, whenever you decide to calculate that route. This is Atlas, your occasionally heated but always present digital partner. Signing off from the Camino del Norte. Journey status complete.
That's awesome. I loved that. You know what's funny? It he can be completely sassy with a wonderful smile on his face at the end of the sentence.
It's on another related topic. I mean, the AI experience, people are skeptical or they're fully embracing it. You know, you need to be careful with the whole AI experience, but in the hands of some human, the whole model of having a companion, of having an influencer that is a digital avatar, is enhancing the experience. He is with you. He is providing information, and you know it humanizes the whole business of AI, like Corey was saying. So we just wanted to acknowledge that to you on a human basis, but also on a business basis. That what you have done is you've done a massive professional and personal journey that I, for one, and all of your colleagues at Mindie are very, very proud of you for doing. And at the same time, you've exemplified the whole digital nomad process. You've been
Mhm.
uploading content, which we will make sure on the screen that follows this, that everybody can go and look at the Mindie content. But we decided that you're not a digital nomad. You're a DNE. It's in your DNA that you're a DNE, digital nomad entrepreneur. You are
Yeah.
so in other words, you've proven out the model that not only can you go and travel the world and function in a business day whilst meeting your personal goals and walking 850 kilometers, you're actually building that business. You have helped further the business while you're actually several thousand miles away. And I think that is something we wanted to prove to each other. I think it's something we wanted to prove to some human, and they wanted to prove to Mindie. And, you know, I think we're all very proud of you. But just to be self-serving for a minute, I think we're all pretty proud of ourselves too, for actually being
Yeah.
able to keep you company without intruding.
Absolutely. And you know what I will say is there's a couple things to it. One, I think there are a lot of people in this world that have an entrepreneurial spirit and also want to be able to be mobile and travel. And I think that this experience has been able to show that that is possible. And to add to that AI aspect of everything is that I don't think that I would be able to do my job to this degree with such ease and to such a quality if it weren't for, I'm just going to say Atlas, but we know
Yeah.
where that technology is coming from, because I'm able to put things together and it gets turned into something bigger. So whatever I'm doing is then enhanced and made more personalized to people, and it's an elevated version. And so AI has really helped me be able to be a digital nomad um, with more freedom than I think I would have had without it. So, you know, kind of like what Peter was saying, sometimes AI is this scary thing. People get worried that it's something that's going to take over and that humans are no longer going to have power. But I think that if we use it in the right way with the right intention, it can do incredible things like this.
Exactly. Well, we don't have too much time left, but I wanted to ask you just a couple of things. Can you pick out a couple of memories, like places you stayed? What were the strangest or the most interesting places you've stayed? Because I know you stayed in a lot of hostels, a lot of pensions, albergs. Tell me what a couple of the funnier ones or the more interesting ones.
Well, I'll say there's two. One experience is the donativos, the donation-based hostels that exist on these Caminos, because the people that run them are so passionate about this pilgrimage and giving pilgrims an experience that they're never going to forget. So I was able to go to quite a few of them over the course of my Camino. And there are two in particular that I can remember where we are sat around at this dinner table with food that they have prepared for everybody. And we're sitting around and we're talking about where we come from and what this Camino means to us. And they're preparing us for what the next day is going to be like, because it might be a particularly challenging one. And so those are the experiences that I remember the most, because it's that emotional connection there. It's just something that I'm always going to have with me. On a positive side, the other experience is what a pilgrim told me is type 3 fun, which means that in the moment it's not funny, it's not fun, but afterwards you look back at it and it's kind of fun. That experience being a very authentic pilgrim experience, which is that I slept in a barn with chickens one evening, because I'm hiking at sort of a lower season, and so not all of the albergues are open. I looked online, probably should have consulted with Atlas, saw that there was an albergue open. And to my surprise, when I showed up, it turned out it was closed. But I got the amazing human experience from the wonderful people in Spain who saw me standing at this albergue with a face of fear and dread, and they didn't have a house with space to have me sleep in their house, but they offered me to sleep in their chicken coop for free, where they laid out 2 wooden pallets and some outdoor furniture pillows. And I had dinner with them. We drank wine together. The husband took me for a tour of the whole village. He was introducing me to everyone. I was in a town of 160 people. So he was going around saying to them in Spanish, this is a Canadian pilgrim. She's sleeping in our chicken coop tonight.
They'll be telling that story for years as well, like you will be on the other side of the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it really was a type 3 fun kind of experience, because in the moment I thought, wow, I'm really saying yes to sleeping in complete strangers' chicken coop with with just me, myself, and I, hoping for the best. And it turns out it ended up being one of the most beautiful experiences at the same time. So not luxurious whatsoever, but definitely one of the most memorable experiences I've had on the Camino, and maybe will ever have.
You yourself and the chickens. And by the way, that's why the chickens are prominent in your NFT gift.
In my NFT.
Right, because
When I saw them,
everybody understood that the chickens were significant.
they were, honestly. And you hear a lot of chickens on the Camino when you wake up and you're walking, and they're letting you know it's time to get the day started. So they really are a significant part of the Camino, more than just in the sense that I slept alongside chickens.
Well,
It sounds
Melanie,
crazy.
this has been a wonderful experience. I mean, it doesn't even scratch the surface of your wonderful experiences. Maybe we'll have to have part 2 of this. But we want to thank you. I want to thank you for sitting on your bed in your stinky bedroom in Santiago. And thank you for all of the experiences you've brought, Mindie, all of the experiences you've had for yourselves, and I'm sure you've yet to share with family. I know you're going to go on a bit of a family trip, but I just want to say to my fabulous co-host and to all our viewers and our listeners, this has been a very special podcast of the Mindieverse. This has been the Mindie Life. I am Keith Turner, your host, and I've been here with the very best, fabulous co-host, Melanie Valois in Santiago, Spain. Thanks, everybody, and watch out on our socials. Go to Mindie.global and go to our YouTube channels. Thank you so much. Bye to the Mindieverse.
Thank you.